Hey, how's everybody doing? This is Dr. G. Duncan Harris, the CEO of Capital Community College, and I'm glad that folks are able to join us today for our student virtual town hall. I thought that it was very important for me to reach out to our students to share some updates, to provide you with some access to valuable resources, during this time. And then also talk about what's going to happen next. Students, you're in college, and so you'll have some homework. So my intent today is to give you some things that you need to follow up on to support your connection and academic endeavors at Capital Community College. So we're going to record this. Some ground rules. We'll have folks with their mics off. I'm going to start with a PowerPoint presentation, which walks you guys through some things. We'll share that PowerPoint after. Encourage you to share that with your classmates. That's some very valuable information. And then we'll go from there. So taking it from the top, let me jump right into the PowerPoint presentation. Okay. And so, as I mentioned, we'll talk a little bit about the format. So we went over that already. Make sure you keep your mics off. Students have been sending in questions to our Director of Student Activities, Randall Ward. And so what we'll do is after my presentation, Randall will ask those questions and I'll respond to those. One of the things that is valuable is to know that you don't know everything, but to know where you could find the answers. And so if there are questions that I don't have an answer for today, I'll follow up with our deans or other individuals on campus, and we'll get back to make sure that our students have the most accurate information. So today's agenda, we'll go over some of the things that the college has been involved with post-COVID, talk about resources. There are a few policy updates that are very important that we share with students, college traditions and events. And so, despite COVID, there still are some traditions that will make sure that we carry out, and there's also activities that are still going on, and so we want to make sure that students are engaged in that. Looking forward, don't get stuck with where we are. April 17th, you need to be looking forward and planning forward. We've got summer session coming up, fall session coming up, and there's things that you should be doing now and planning for that. And then the last thing we'll do is talk about some very practical guidance about being safe and COVID-free, which is our goal for all of our students. And so we'll talk a little bit about that at the end. So starting with what's happened since the college, we as you're aware, we shut down in March. That Thursday evening, we notified individuals that the college would be closed. That was faculty, staff, and students. We moved everything fully online. What worked out was that we were going into spring break. Somebody's typing, and if you could mute that. When we went to move fully online, our faculty, and kudos to them, they spent their spring break really ensuring that students, when they came back from that break, were ready to go online. They converted materials. They worked with folks in our media area to create videos and all kinds of things. And so we were really ready to go following spring break in a fully online environment. So kudos to our faculty. That we locked down the building. Anybody who's driven through downtown Hartford recently drove by your campus, you see that there's signs up. All state facilities pretty much have been locked down, and our folks have been working from home since we closed. We do have some essential staff that come in periodically to make sure that operations don't stop, whether that is processing of certain things, financial aid, our enrollment team still comes in periodically, management. We have campus safety and security, so the building is always secure. And then, kudos once again to our buildings and grounds staff. Folks have made sure that they have sanitized the building. We've locked up certain spaces after cleaning them to make sure that everything is sanitized. And so that's the next bullet. That we've made sure that we've been following protocols with cleaning of spaces to make sure that they remain COVID free. So some good in welfare. And there's a picture on this slide of members of our nursing and biology areas. But the college, as you're aware, has a number of allied health, nursing programs, sciences, and we donated. You're aware that a lot of the hospitals don't have the PPE that they need to operate, and have had a hard time securing it. So there's a picture of your college, Capital Community College, donating materials to St. Francis and Hartford Hospital to support the healthcare workers, those frontline staff that need masks and gloves and all kinds of things. And so Capital stepped up in that regard. We also have had some items in our pantry, and so we donated some of the perishable and some non-perishable foods that we had in our pantry to Food Share. I want to make sure that students that are food insecure are eating and have access. And we have a resource page that I'll talk about in a second to make sure that folks know where they could get food. I do not have a crystal ball and do not know for certain when the campus will reopen. We follow all of the directives of the governor, and there are beginning to be plans on how state offices and buildings will begin to reopen, and there's a plan for that. But that will hinge on the progression of the virus, and so there's no set stage for when the actual campus will reopen. Okay? So, but as soon as we know, we'll let our students know. But safety first. Next up, some of the resources, and so we want to make sure that students, we have funding that we've received from the foundation, and so there are emergency grants, and there's a process for students to access those. On the PowerPoint that I have on the screen is the form that students would need to complete to access that. And so students are able to get grants of between $50 and $750 for emergencies. There's a process that's required, and all of those go through the Dean of Students Office, Dean Scapici. Technology support. So we've made great progress in terms of ensuring that students have access to PCs, to laptops, and things of that nature. So we once again developed a process. There's a form, and those requests go in through the dean's office. We've reached out to our foundation, and so we do have some additional funding, and then also to some of the corporations in the area that have expressed an interest in providing additional laptops for our students. And so once again, please, don't sit there with an antiquated system and not be able to complete your work due to a technological barrier. And so let us know. One of the things, asking for help is a sign of strength. It's not a weakness. And so please, as things come up, let us know, and we'll see if we could help you out. But we do have some additional resources available to address technology banners. Our team has put together a phenomenal student resources page, and there's all kinds of supports on there. There's whether that's technology, information from the library. There's some things about mental and physical health on there. All kinds of resources, food access in terms of food security information. And so there's a link on this presentation that we'll share, and there's a student resource page that provides you with valuable information on things that you may need during this time, right? And so once again, these are your resources. Make sure that you're leveraging them to the fullest. And so we put all of that information in one page. That's a page you might want to bookmark or bookmark on your phone or what have you. We have spring scholarships, and it's very timely. In the past, students that may have been here for a while remember that this used to be a paper process with hard copies, and now the timing is right, but we moved to a fully online process for students applying for scholarships, and we do have donors that have made scholarships available to our students. And you can see on the presentation, capitalcc.awardspring.com. And so you would go there and you can complete that scholarship form and recommendation online. That's due June 1st. I checked in. We had about 100 students apply so far, and so there's certainly ample time. A lot of you guys have been working with your faculty, more intimately, and so as it relates to needing or getting a recommendation, now's the time. And so make sure that you apply for scholarship aid. There is a federal act. It's called the CARES Act, which is the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. And so this is a federal act that has been enacted in response to the COVID situation. What that will do for our students and for students enrolled in public higher education is that within the next couple weeks, there'll be some actual funding that is directed to students to support them during this time of financial constraint. And so we're waiting on final numbers, but what it means is that students that have enrolled in 3 or more credits for the spring semester that have either paid for their classes themselves or received financial aid to cover the cost of their classes. So this wouldn't apply to at this time to seniors on waivers or students in our high school partnership program, which those are waivers, but it does apply to veterans who are utilizing the GI benefits. But what it is that there'll be some additional cash support. So not exactly sure of the actual amount, but initial projections it'll be about $350, and so that will go directly to students to help them with costs, with if you need some technology, if you wanted to pay for a summer class, whatever, but you could use those funds how you see fit. Now, one of the things that you should know is that how quickly you receive those funds will depend on if we have your bank information in our system. And so oftentimes students on financial aid have already submitted that to us, and so that's how they receive their refunds. So you guys are all set. But if you don't have your and you've never submitted your banking information to the college, and that would be your bank routing number and then your account number, where we could make a direct deposit, that will delay the amount of time if we don't have that information, and you would have to get a paper check, which will take quite some time. And so what I put on this PowerPoint, and there'll be more information coming out for our students, is that we're encouraging students to go into your Web for Students account. You click on there, and there is a link to the right side that says, you can fish around for a little bit, but it says direct deposit enrollment, right? And so you're going to click on that, and then you would enter your banking routing and account information. What that will allow us to do is that when those funds from the federal government become available, you'll get your funding right away, and it'll go directly into your account. And so we'll be sending out more information about that. But once again, for the students that are on the call, I'd encourage you to log into your accounts. Web for Students over on the right-hand side, fish around for a little bit. But it's a direct deposit enrollment. And once again, I'd encourage you to do that sooner rather than later. The picture on this slide is of Dean Scapatici, delivering one of those computers to one of our students. He's maintaining the appropriate amount of social distancing, but we could see, how delighted, one of our students was to receive, that personally delivered computer from Dean Scapatici. And kudos to him and his team for all the work that they've been doing to support our students. Okay, a couple policy updates, and this is something that students will, I wanted to make sure that you have right away. And you may have heard, and thanks in part to the advocacy of your student advisory council, the SAC. And so students in our system had been clamoring for what they had seen occurring in colleges throughout the nation, where colleges were modifying spring grading to deploy a pass-fail policy. And so our students in our system, you guys have phenomenal representation. They reached out to the Board of Regents and to the leadership team, our faculty on campus. Many of them were also advocating that students have the option to pursue a no credit, pass-fail policy this spring. More information will be coming out on this, but in a nutshell, students will have until June 30th to make a determination whether they want to have a letter grade, a traditional letter grade reflected on their transcript, or there will be another option, which will be credit transfer, credit, no credit, or withdrawal, right? And so we'll be providing an FAQ. We'll have a separate web page. But in a nutshell, you don't need to decide this now. If it was me, I would not decide it now. Do not take your foot off the gas with how hard you're trying in your classes and to get A's and things like that. So do not do that. Don't let up now. But at the end of the semester following, you'll be able to make a determination whether you want to use the traditional grading guidelines or adopt this pass-fail policy. And there's a lot of nuances to it. I want you to talk to your advisor about it before you decide. There are implications whether you're planning to transfer somewhere, for some of selective admission programs, et cetera. And so before you do that, I want you to talk to your advisors. That's homework. Don't do it yet. We're the final policy will be coming out. Like I said, we'll have an FAQ that's available. The other thing is if students had incompletes from the fall or the winter, that there's been an extension provided based on the impact of COVID. And so if you have work that you're completing, that there's been an extension to May 1st to get that work done based on the interruption from COVID. And so that was another thing that was done in support of students that may have had incompletes. You should have already had an agreement with the professor with what's required to complete and submit in order to receive a letter grade. But there's been a formal policy extension for students that did have eyes for the fall and winter. Once again, only for students that already had an agreement in place with your faculty member and submitted paperwork with what was required to receive a letter grade for the fall or winter semester. Payment plans, okay? And so once again, based on COVID, one of the things that our system has done and agreed is, and we recognize how our students have been impacted by perhaps the loss of work, wages, they're staying home, all kinds of things. And so what we've done is that students that have outstanding balances of $1,200 or less will be able to enter into a payment plan to make proper payment for removing that balance. But what will occur is in addition to that, we will not block you or put a hold on your account, preventing you from registering for the summer or fall classes. So let me say that again. So if you have an outstanding balance, haven't been able to remove that balance by paying it, contact our bursar, enter into a payment plan, and that will allow you the time to remove that balance. And at the same time, we will not put a hold on your account that would prevent you from registering, which is very important for your for summer or fall classes. Right? Contact the bursar, et cetera, and then we'll work things out with you. And so once again, we're very sensitive to the financial status of many of our students that may have lost employment, reduced hours, what have you during this time, and we don't want to cause that to prevent you from progressing in your academic pursuits here at the college, right? So that's an update on that. College rituals and events, and so we know how hard our students have been working. We value your commitment, your scholarship. Many of you have been taking 2 classes at a time. Others, taking 4 or 5. You've made sacrifices from family, et cetera, and the time. And so we know how important, that crowning milestone in terms of commencement is, representing, the work that you put in. We will not be able to have an event in ways in which we have in the past, where we have, 1,000+ people, congregating. You guys are all aware of that. However, the college does recognize the symbolic significance of this milestone, and are in the process, and we're in the process of creating a fitting way to honor and acknowledge that the completion of your degrees. And so we will be doing something. We're being very creative. They'll still will be components that mirror traditional commencement exercise with, a speech from the president, that we'll have a valedictorian, that we've already identified our commencement speaker, and so there's opportunities there. We'll create the program that has each and everybody's name who has applied for graduation. Make sure you apply for graduation if you haven't already. The form is online. We'll send something to you, and there'll be a fitting way to recognize this major milestone, capstone. Similarly, pinning is a tradition in a college ritual. Many of our allied health programs, there's a picture of the pinning ceremony for last year's nursing class, and so we will be doing something with pinning for our programs. Initially we're thinking of the significance of a person in your life who supported you throughout the completion of that, and them actually forming the pinning. We'll do something with video and virtual, where in terms of the oaths that individuals entering those career professions take, and so we'll do that. Similarly, our students and our student leaders and scholars, we will acknowledge and make sure that students that that receive awards, that will do something similar for students that have received academic and leadership distinction. So we'll do that. And then lastly, Randall Ward, who's the director of student activities, has been working to ensure that there's still these engagement opportunities for our students. And so make sure you chime in. I know that there's a competition coming up online, and with a cash award or gift card award and some other things. He has a number of videos on there about self-help. There's some things around fitness that we've been working on. And so make sure you stay engaged with your college community, right? And there's a way in which to still be engaged and feel a sense of kind of the Capital family. Moving forward, summer session is up and posted. Many of you guys, depending on what happened this spring, you may want to explore taking a summer class. Many of our summer classes, and actually most of them, will be fully online, all of them actually. And so you've spent the last 4+ weeks. What's today? Today's the 17th. Being in a fully online environment already, so you become more versant in it. And so if you're looking to complete a summer class, now might be the time. They're enrolling now online, and the campuses have been, and it's tentative date right now, but that August 1st, that there may be components of certain classes that require on-ground interaction. And so as of now, and this could change should there be a flare-up in terms of the virus in summer or what have you, hopefully not. But the intent would be that for certain classes that we could get back on campus after August 1st. But as of now, all of our classes are fully online, whether that's a science with a lab, and so a student taking microbiology or A&P1, there are kits, there's simulations, and so our faculty have been working hard to ensure that the quality and rigor is there, but the format for delivery will be different and fully online. So once again, I'd encourage folks to really look at the summer session to take advantage of that, to either get caught up or to get ahead on your curriculum planning. Fall semester, registration has started. I was talking to our director of academic advising, Ms. Taisha Wood, and she said that students have been coming in for the online sessions. Our counselors are available, all day. We're doing audits, following up with students. And so, once again, you've got plenty of time. Don't waste it. Make sure you get in and get registered. For our returning students, and that's the audience today, depending on what happens, we might even have an increase in enrollment this fall. So there's a lot of speculation that a lot of students may not want to go away as they have in the past. Unfortunately, based on the economy, there may be a number of people coming back to school to get retraining, to improve their skill sets and things like that. So I want to make sure that our continuing students know, don't wait till the last minute. Don't wait till August to register, right? Because you may find that there are less options. And so once again, for those students listening to me today, got plenty of time. Make sure you go online. There's a link on there for where you could make an appointment with an advisor in the counseling center, or you talk to your faculty or program coordinator, Get your classes done now. You got plenty of time. Map it out. Hey, you want to map out, do your audits, etc. So get that done now, and get signed up. Once again, we won't be withdrawing students for non-payment. So you could register, and you wouldn't be pulled from your classes until there's a deadline midsummer where tuition would be due or students would need to be in a payment plan. So we're at April 17th. It's not early. It's on time for registration. Oh, it's early. No, it's not early. You're on time. So get that done. Get in and get your one less thing to do, one less thing to worry about. There's a bullet on there. Once again, consider online. And so you guys are in that realm now. Many of you guys may work, you may have kids and things like that, but you're learning how you could fit in an additional class or a class online and still manage your home responsibilities. Lastly, on there is that in the schedule, when you look online, we've developed some new 8-week classes. This is new for us this fall, and so depending on what your major is, there's a ton of gen ed classes, etc. And how it's structured is that you go 8 weeks. You're going to have the same amount of material that you would complete in a 15, 16 week section, but you'll be done in 8 weeks with that 3 credits. Right after that 8 weeks ends, there's a whole nother set of 8-week classes. So conceptually, you could get 6 credits done taking those 8-week classes, or even more than that, depending on what your major is. And so once again, a new option for you guys. Our students work. You're looking for flexibility in terms of your scheduling, and so make sure that as you're looking at what's required for your degree, take a look at those 8-week classes. I used to teach in an accelerated class. It was actually 6 weeks. Students in there were very focused, but you're able to kind of get that work completed. Same outcomes as a 15 weeks, but you're able to accelerate the time to completion. Be mindful, same amount of work as a 15, but it's consolidated and it's accelerated. So if that works for you, that would be an option. If you feel you need the 15 weeks, that might not be a good option for you. Okay. Okay. Here's some practical information about being safe. We want our students to make sure that they're safe and healthy. There's some speculation that Forrest bullet on there. Many of us are beginning to be impacted by this, whether that's members of our family. They're individuals that we care about deeply that are either contracting it or that are unfortunately passing, from it. We're aware of how it's decimated New York, and some of the models suggest that it's beginning to move north in a very different way. One of the models suggests that the reported and confirmed incidents in the Hartford area might pick up over the next few weeks, and so we're very concerned about that. We want our students to make sure that you do your part in continuing to flatten the curve, and that's remaining at home as much as possible. I know folks are starting to get a little stir crazy. It's getting nice out, etc. Make sure you get out and get some exercise, but limit your exposure to to others during this time. We need to do that longer, right? I mean, we like I said, these next few weeks will be critical for Hartford and the greater Hartford area. So we do need folks to stay home more, right? Wear your masks, and actually the governor is really working to ensure, and he may have even passed an executive order at this point, but to make sure you wear your masks out there, and whether that's a T-shirt, there's some pretty cool videos on about how you can convert T-shirts and things like that, or other masks. And that's really, in some regard, not about you, but it's about protecting others. And so please make sure that you're doing that. Social distancing, you guys are aware of that. It's still too early to be hanging out in groups and large groups and things like that. Get plenty of rest and do your part to eat right, to strengthen your immune systems, right? And so, I'm a Netflix guy. Oftentimes I'll binge, and next thing you know, it's 2 o'clock. But I know I need to shut it down and attempt to maintain regular sleeping patterns and things like that to keep my body right, my body strong to avoid or fight off COVID, and so once again, don't attempt to be Superman or Superwoman. Get your rest, eat right, and strengthen your immune system. Like take your vitamins and things like that. So make sure you're doing all that good work. Wash your hands regularly. You can't wash them too much. And then lastly, your mental health matters. And oftentimes if individuals or environments, you're around, kind of stressful. Sometimes there may be tension in the home, or you haven't been forced to be around family members, to this extent, et cetera. And so it could be somewhat stressful. And so within that regard, I want you to reach out to our counselors. So if things are percolating, or you're not feeling well mentally or spiritually, reach out to our counselors. Fire them an email. That's what they're there for, and they could get you to somebody else. Should that need arise for you to be able to be in a good space mentally, but once again, remain positive and optimistic. Sometimes during challenges like this, it brings out the best in us and in our community. I think we've been rallying as a college. I've been very impressed by how the faculty and staff have, done what's required to be supportive of students. Somebody today was talking about on a call earlier about do what it takes. This is certainly a time for us to do what it takes to get through and get to the other side. This won't last forever. There's more and more research being done, and hopefully we're able to get be able to do more preventative things. There's the antibody and plasma testing that's going on and things like that. And so, and our state has been very responsive. Each and every Tuesday, as CEO of the college, I'm on a call with all of the community college presidents and CEOs. The head of President Ojakian convenes that call. He's been front and center, ensuring that our students have support, and that we're being responsible, caring, and supportive during this time of unprecedented crisis and challenge. And so once again, I think we'll be all right, and more than all right. I think we'll be actually stronger on the other side of this, and more mindful of kind of our health and one another. So that's the last slide on there. We're gonna take some questions from Randall, but lastly, make sure that you're once again following us on social media for updates. I had a pretty cool video with whatever that new song is out that my daughter, who's 12, told me about. And it kind of looked like a TikTok thing, and I kind of looked like I knew what I was doing, and it was pretty cool. And I think I have 700 views, and so Capital is out there, and but I did that to get your attention, so that I could give you this information on the call now, that I know is helpful and timely, and demonstrates how much we care about our students. And so I'm going to go back on camera, I think. Stop sharing. Randall Ward has some questions that were sent in advance, and so I asked him to read some of those questions. Once again, I'll respond to the ones that I can. If I don't have the answer, I'll get back to folks and talk to my team about it. And so we do want to make sure that our students have all of the information that they need. During there should be. You shouldn't be sitting there wondering about certain things, and so get them to Randall. We'll get back to you. We want to make sure that you have what you need to make it through, and once again be even stronger. And so let me stand up because my knees are hurting at this point. All right.
Good morning, Dr. Harris.
Hey, good morning.
Thank you, sir. And just as an update, we do also have an emergency resources page directly on the student activities page on the right-hand tabs. Okay, so to start off with some of the questions these are from our SGA. This one is from Stephanie. The question is, because students have worked very hard and they look forward towards graduation, is there a possibility for students to walk at a later date, maybe December or next spring?
Yeah, well, good question, Stephanie. and I get the significance of the actual walk itself. But there are, we want to make sure that it occurs at the time which, you're completing your requirements. Which, so we have all of our graduates, and we want to make sure that we award the degrees on time. And we do believe that there's a way in which we could honor the work and the completion without having to combine commencement ceremonies. And so once again, this idea of two at the same time and all of these other things. One of the things that, Stephanie, I would encourage you to do is look at, and Dean Scappaticci has a committee that he's working with right now to put that program together. But we're confident that we could honor the work without having to double up and to once again make sure that students get it when they finish it. And so that's where we're at currently. But we'll take that under consideration. But we want to make sure that once again, students have been working hard, and the last thing we want to do is make them wait another year to be acknowledged in a meaningful way with the completion of this major milestone. So,
thank you. This question comes from Ivy. Has there been any discussion so far about any special regulations that might take place once school is finally back in session on campus?
Yeah, well, I mentioned earlier, neither I nor Fauci or anybody has a crystal ball. And so, once again, there are some models that suggest that, we might get a peak in May, and then there may be a lull in the summer, but the potential exists for it to come back in the fall, right? And so once again, I think what we're seeing is we need to put safety first and lives first. We need to make sure that when there are peaks, that we deploy social distancing, safety precautions, and things like that. So I say all that to say is once again, so let's say that it in the fall were to pick up again, we would need to once again possibly shut down. And so we've learned a lot of lessons, and we've been taking notes, and we've been developing strategies and things like that, so that if we had to, we could. Faculty have developed content and curriculum to move to online should they need to. And so once again, I do not have a crystal ball. Now, the other thing that we're looking at is social distancing, and so perhaps in certain classrooms you may need to space out students. I know that there's a lot of anxiety about when things do begin to open back up. People being mindful and a little worried about being in large groups. So we'll be very mindful of that. We've doubled and tripled, the cleaning of the campus, et cetera. And so I think I say all that to say safety first. We're very mindful of ensuring that those best practices and protocols are in place, and we're not going to open up before we're ready and able to provide students with assurances that the likelihood of them contracting the virus are reduced. I think that we're in a new kind of time where it will never be never again. That's why I'm so hopeful that we get the things in place. Should somebody contract it, that there would be viral medicine that they could take, et cetera. So that's where we're at, at this point.
Thank you. You kind of touched on this question a little bit. It's a pretty lengthy one, but Chevelle asks, if COVID-19 is not controlled to the point where we can return to our old norms, how will management and faculty of CCC proceed? In particular, will the college consider creating a new type of class, perhaps one that meets at a particular time in each day, similar to WebEx and Teams? Could this be an alternative to everyone taking classes that are fully online with no specific time allotted for interaction between the entire class, professors, and course content?
Yeah, good question. And so, so our faculty, they they're responsible for ensuring the learning outcomes and objectives are met. That students are able to demonstrate learning, and they're responsible for that assessment. And so there are multiple modalities to get to that. Number of students have taken online classes all along. Capital was one of the early adopters of online education, and had faculty deploying best practice in online, for years. And it wasn't foreign to our institution to move fully online in many of our classes. And what you mentioned in the question is, are there opportunities for more hybrid? Sure. One of the things that we talked about with summer is that once again there might be a piece where classes front load the instruction, while there are still social distancing requirements or more significant social, and then the lab component would happen like in August, right? There may be situations where to reduce the size of a class, instead of having 40, we have 20 come on one day, and then there's an online component and 20 come on the other day. So we're exploring how, once again, to maintain the integrity of the instruction and the learning outcomes that must be met, with integrating the safety protocols that have to be in place. And so our faculty have done a phenomenal job, putting safety first, but ensuring that the integrity of the rigor and the outcome is still in place. And so you can measure for that. And so a student taking a fully online class versus a student coming to campus, on ground for 15 weeks, they still have the same outcomes, and those are to be measured by the assessments. And so it's the instructional delivery that may vary. And so it's an exciting time. And once again, I'd encourage a lot of students who are now in a fully online format by no choice of their own, but to think about how they could leverage this to complete their requirements. And so now maybe there have been students who've taken 4 on ground all the time, but maybe you say, all right, well, I'm going to take 2 online and 2 on ground, and I'll be able to pick my kids up from the bus or do other things. Now that it's the same amount of work. I don't think that because it's online that it's less, and in some regard, oftentimes it's you're more engaged because you're required to respond to prompts, or you're required to review other classmates' material. You can't sit there and be quiet, if you're like you might be able to in on ground or what have you. And so be very aware that the outcomes and what's required is the same. The mode of delivery is what varies. And I'd suggest that our students are more versant now as a result of COVID in what's required in online. I see my kids. I have a 12 and a 15-year-old at home who live in Windsor, and so they've been home, and they're online, all day, doing their classes. They're have set times, their requirements. They're doing research, they're doing presentations, they're doing video, and so that group of students, coming out of high school this year, will think online is kind of normal. And once again, they may not even feel as pressured to go away to college, and may seek more online education.
Thank you. And as you've touched on a lot of the questions already, just continuing on with one more online question, and this is actually the last question. Stephanie asks, as many of our classroom dynamics have changed by going online, in my opinion, exams seem to have become a little more difficult. She's noticed that some of the high school students are struggling with some of the online tools such as Blackboard, and a lot of the students don't have access to Wi-Fi. Are there any additional strategies to improve the online classes going forward?
Yeah, well, front and center in that question is if you don't have the tools, let us know. Let me say that again. So if you don't have the tools, let us know. Reach out to Dean Scapatici's office. There's some support that we could provide with hotspots. That student resource page. I know that there are internet providers that have agreed to provide high-speed access during this crisis. And so once again, you got to have the right tools going in. I know our students are smart enough to do the work, but if you don't have the tools going in, it's kind of hard to get it done. And so please, please, please let us know if you don't have the tools. And then, we'll provide the tools or help provide the tools, and you provide the effort, the grit, and, the dedication. And then that's a good recipe and a formula for student success. And so there's that piece. What I would suggest, we have online tutoring. Once again, our Academic Success Center has doubled and tripled kind of the resources that they provide. They've got great expertise in that area. There are other strategies with student study groups, that you could utilize. Our faculty are front and center. I was just in a meeting this morning where one of our English professors was talking about how much she's online with students, whether that's on a cell phone call or WebEx. One of our math instructors was on that in that meeting also, and she was just talking about how available she is to students. I think sometimes unfortunately in an online environment, it's easy to hide sometimes, a little easier than in a class. And so if you're not engaging or saying what you need, we don't know how to help you. Now with the tests, that was an interesting comment. One of the things about online testing is that those testing assessments need to be designed in a way in which it's not simply multiple choice and I'm able to open my book and cut. So the design oftentimes of the instruments is very different than what you might be accustomed to in a regular class, because you need to be designed in a way in which the academic integrity of the student actually doing the assessment needs to be in place. So they're designed differently. Maybe that's what you're experiencing. And so once again, you need to adjust how you study for that test, knowing that it's a little bit different than perhaps the Scantron that you might have done on ground. Once again, go online, reach out to the Academic Success Center. They have workshops, there are videos on there about test taking strategies, etc. And so you need to adjust. One of the things that we try to do is equip our students to teach them how to adjust to different environments, different situations. And so the way you're assessed in an online environment may be different, and it seems that it is different than some of your on ground. The other thing, and I have 3 degrees, I spent a lot of time in college. One of the things that I learned later that I wish I had learned sooner is to develop a relationship with your faculty member. A lot of times I'm in the elevator, I'll ask students who their professor is. They can't tell me the name. To me, that suggests that they haven't developed the type of relationship that they should with their professor. So email them, reach out, tell them what's going on. They want to see you be successful, but you've got to put the work in, and if you're having difficulty with that, reach out and we'll see what we could do.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. That concludes our students' questions at this time.
All right. So what we're gonna do now, we actually recorded this. I don't know what it looks like, so hopefully it came out pretty good. I put a tie on today instead of a t-shirt, sweatpants, dressed up for you guys. And what we want to do though is make the video available. I think that there's some really good information in there. One of the best things that students can do for one another is to share information, right? And so what I would ask is that the students that are on here today, that you kind of putting up TikToks and other stuff, but put this up. Send it to your other students. Like I said, there was some good info about some funding that's available. We got scholarship stuff. There's mental health information. There's some other resources. There's technology. So please, please, please don't sit on it. And oftentimes Dr. Harris doesn't ask for much, but I would ask you to make sure that you guys get the word out to your fellow classmates and students that you care about, to make sure that they have what they need to make it through and do well, and not just make it, but to thrive, right? So it's a tough time. Hopefully, folks are able to actually grow and advance and be better on the other side of this thing. So that's Dr. Harris's appeal. Just wanted to thank everybody for chiming in and showing up today. So that's it. I'm waving. Getting good at this thing here. Care about you guys. I hope everybody remains COVID free, and the Capitol family, the Capitol community will be just fine on the other side of this. Take care.